everyone. We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Hinson.
And I'm Dr. Donnelly.
And we are here with our continuing coverage of The Crown. Today we are discussing episode 7 of season 2, Matrimonium, which, as the title indicates, is about a wedding. We're back with Peter Townsend to start the episode, which is super awkward because I thought we were done with Peter Townsend, but apparently we're never done with Peter Townsend. So he writes to Margaret telling her that he is getting married, and Margaret flips her freaking lid.
Yeah, Margaret turns into a 14-year-old whose boyfriend found a new girlfriend too fast.
Yeah, so super jealous. Wants to get married to Tony right away. Tells the Queen, Tony and I are getting married, but I have to get married before Peter Townsend. Everything has to happen before Peter Townsend does it, which is the most juvenile thing. And we understand that they embellish things historically a lot for this, but I guarantee you that is not embellished. That girl threw a strop.
Yep.
So we learned a lot more about Anthony Armstrong Jones in this episode. His relationship with his mother looks horrific. She is like a cow who hates him.
Yep.
So we all understand why he's doing this now, or why they're doing this to spite their families.
I don't even know if they got that far. I just think, this to me is this really, major classic thing of, they were hot for each other and decided that should turn into marriage. No.
And, what did he say to her in this episode? I hate the idea of losing you more, was what he said in response to, well, I don't really want to get married. I don't believe in marriage, but I hate the idea of losing. Super sound relationship advice there.
I don't feel like that is love. I feel like that is a fear of loneliness.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they do understand each other to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all that they need. I don't know.
Yeah, I need more than that, but God bless.
Good luck to you. So there's then another delay, which is hilarious. Margaret, I'm sure. Some parts of me feel bad for Margaret because everything has been pushed back. But also, your sister's the Queen, so suck it up.
Yeah.
So the Queen is pregnant with Andrew, and Margaret can't announce her marriage until after the baby is born, because you can't have a royal announcement until the royal birth. Sure. Who wrote, why can't we change these rules?
Fine.
It's whatever. I'm sure this is the Royal Birth Announcement Act under Richard III from the 12th century. Whatever. Yeah, we find out all these things about Tony. He sleeps around with men and women. His best man's wife is pregnant with his baby. The Queen
all just really solid foundations to make a eternal covenant. Just real solid foundation.
Just sounds like a great idea. The Queen investigates this after she sees some goings on at this party that her and Philip throw, and brings in Tommy Lascelles, because if anybody was going to dig up dirt on anybody, it's Tommy. And she finds out all this stuff and then ends up not telling Margaret because she feels so bad for her. And then the baby's born. Hooray! There's this really long prayer by the Prime Minister, whatever his name is, to our most gracious sovereign lady. That was, I thought, a really weird interlude in the episode where the whole cabinet is praying for the Queen because she's having a baby. But sure. And we have the baby. Hooray! We have the wedding. Whatever. End of episode. Literally the only thing about this episode that I enjoyed was after Andrew was born, Margaret visits Elizabeth and says, have you decided on a name? And Elizabeth said, well, we thought about George, but there's been too many of those. And then we thought about Louis, but that sounds a bit too foreign. So we've gone with Andrew. And that just made me giggle personally, because the two boys that the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate, has had, she has named George and Louis. And that just tickled me. Other than that, whatever. Dr. Donnelly, thoughts on this episode? Whinges about this episode? Anything?
Like, I understand why we had to have this episode because Margaret's marriage is a huge part of Elizabeth's reign. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Anthony Jones is a huge part of the drama of the 60s. Again, I get it. I just wish like there was, again, like I just wish they chose a different storytelling vehicle. I wish they had given us a fictional journal. Like, I just wish we knew, like, you guys could spend as much time with other people as you want if you could tell me something that Elizabeth feels about these things. But like, it's not, but even if it wasn't a historical person, like I was thinking about this, even if this wasn't a historical person, I would still want to know what the main character thinks about these things. Like if this was a dystopian queen, I would still want to know what she thinks. So the only other thing that stuck out to me was when Tony proposed or like put the ring on her finger, and he made her promise that she would never bore him. And she made him promise that he would never hurt her. Those are very different things.
Very different.
And it reminded me a lot of the fact that like men are afraid that women will laugh at them.
Yeah.
And women are afraid that men will kill them.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't like, I wonder if they talked about what those the definitions of those words for
they did not.
Were.
I
so
will
like you're just setting it up for disaster.
Oh yeah, they're doomed. They're doomed. And like I'm not somebody, like, I mean, clearly there are no spoilers in the show, and I'm normally somebody who doesn't care about spoilers because the journey is interesting. Since I already know this is a disaster and it's not an interesting journey, I'm frustrated.
It could have been 10 minutes, and I think for me,
just put up a slideshow.
Yeah,
Tony was a terrible decision. Margaret needs therapy. They named the baby Andrew.
There's a lack of creativity in mechanisms for storytelling and in like avenues to approach the story. I feel like they always go for the straightforward kind of, oh, well, this is the story of Margaret's wedding. We will tell the story of Margaret's wedding.
Fantastic.
And I'm like, yeah, tell the story. Like you said, these events are important. These people are important. But maybe we could find a different entry point or a different narrator or a way to talk about Margaret's wedding in a way that, I don't know, relates to the crown.
That's the thing. Like, they're important because they affected her reign. They're important because Margaret affects how she then treats Camilla.
Yeah.
And why Charles can't marry Camilla. Like, it
would be more interesting if they would choose a different. So hopefully season 3, writers of season 3, hear us now.
Hear our cry.
Hear our cry. Just a little bit more from the queen. I know we're crazy. Crazy time.
Maybe a little bit more discussions of ramifications. Like, what does it mean that Margaret married Tony? Like, clearly he's a crap show, but like, why?
You could.
If you're going to pretend that you can read everyone else's minds, then read their minds.
I don't know. I was fascinating though, tangentially. Claire Foy was on Graham Norton this past weekend, which for those of you who don't know, the Graham Norton show is a wonderful entertainment interview show in the UK that airs on Fridays. So Claire Foy was on. She's in that new Girl with the Dragon.
Oh yeah. The new Lisbeth Salander. Yep.
Yeah. So she was on, and Kurt Russell was also on as well, and it was really cute because he said like, you know, I just wanted to let you know that myself and Goldie are like super fans of the show. Like, we love the show. And he goes, but I hear you're not doing it anymore. And he was like, why? Like, you guys were so amazing. And like, I'm not sure I'm okay with like new people coming in. It was hilarious. So, tangentially, I thought anybody else might enjoy it. If you haven't, look it up. The clips are on YouTube. It's a delightful interview. But like, his fawning over her and Matt Smith was totally appropriate. And he was like, I'm not sure I'm ready for like the next telling of this that doesn't include you too. Cause he's like, I don't know that I'll believe different people as those characters, which is a valid point.
It's going to be really interesting when it premieres, how we all feel about it and how many episodes it takes us to settle in.
Yeah. Cause in my head, the queen is Claire Foy.
Yeah.
Like on that show.
But I'm really glad they've gone the direction they're going and haven't done like aging makeup. Cause like,
and they did a little bit, like you can definitely tell by the end of season 2, they've like put some
Puffed her a
gray in
bit,
her
yeah.
hair and puffed her a bit. But it was very subtle. And in fairness, you're right. I wouldn't have wanted to see her with like a wrinkle face mask,
And there's a gravitas to it too. Like she can play the queen in her 20s and 30s because she's in her 30s. And like Olivia Colman's in her 40s and 50s. So like that's what we want. Like there's a wisdom that comes with that Claire just doesn't have.
Right. Yeah. So there's a weight to the experience that Olivia Colman's, and I love like Olivia Colman and Tobias Menzies like 100%.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting just to hear somebody else be like, oh, you guys,
stars are people too.
Yeah, and she was just like, oh my God, Kurt Russell is like complimenting me. She was like, this is the best day ever. So, but I think that tells you right there how much we actually wanted to talk about Matrimonium. But
yeah, I know.
That pretty much sums it up. The marriage is doomed. History tells us
even if we weren't sitting here in 2018, I told you the marriage was doomed. Like, yeah. Okay, guys. Yeah, we'll let you go, and we'll see you next week.
Yes. For everyone, I'm Dr. Hinson.
I'm Dr. Donnelly.
And we will see you next with episode 8. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.